If you're feeling lost, I know where to go. Grab the good book, go and get your bow. Meet me in the woods, it's sweet for your soul. It's time to know him outdoors. It's time to know him
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't have any visual on you.
That's the same with me. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
What?
Yeah. Now I can see you now.
Are we good?
Yeah, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you now. Yeah. All right, man. We'll just restart, I guess, again. The devil's gonna work, it seems like. Can you hear me pretty good? Everything?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you
I
good.
started a new link because we would have been going over on the other one.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, Clark, just take it from the top again. Real briefly tell everyone about you. We'll roll into some questions and hopefully no more issues happen.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. My name is Clark Shepard. I'm with Recovered Outdoors. I'm from North Georgia. I'm married. I have an amazing wife that supports all my crazy adventures.
Mm.
I have a daughter. I'm very proud of my daughter. She's 16. She's got her first job. Uh, Things are definitely fun right now.
Yeah.
I work for a company called Sika. We make fiber reinforcements for concrete, and there I'm over safety and training. And Jesus has a sense of humor with that because used to
Mm.
I wouldn't follow any rules, and now I'm the one enforcing rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely wouldn't have thought I would have been where I'm at 10
Yeah.
years ago doing this.
How long were you always in the safety department for since you've been with them?
No, I started in cutting, which is the entry level position. I worked
Mm.
that. I worked extrusion. Worked just about everything in the production floor, and then I would say probably 6 years ago, I got into safety, and I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's awesome. I know we were sharing earlier before everything crashed out on us. I grew up in the shop, and so when things got to get done, they got to get done. And sometimes safety, we could be real complacent, I'll say, on things. And when the safety guide come, we'd be wrestling around trying to make sure we were following policies to not get dinged. But
yeah.
man, I like that shirt you got on there.
Hey,
I don't know if
thanks.
it was cutting out on me. Is that one of those like dry fit materials?
It's got the hood and everything, dry fit.
Yeah,
I got a friend who she makes all my shirts, and
nice.
yeah, I just got this past Saturday. I really like it.
Yeah, nice. I'll get with you to see if we can drop it. We'll drop your page and everything on the video. That way people
Okay.
want to. Do you sell them?
Uh, this one not yet. I have regular T-shirts.
Yeah.
We just rolled those out probably 2 weeks ago. Uh,
Okay. Yeah, we'll
yeah,
drop your stuff for Covered Outdoors. Anybody want to go follow you and then maybe grab them a shirt or something. But
yeah, man.
so we were talking. You got one daughter, 16 years old.
Yes, sir.
Nice. I got four, and my oldest is 10 right now. So man,
Buckle up.
yeah, the adventure's just started, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, but no, hunting, to know him outdoors is a page that I started about 2 years ago. I grew up hunting myself, and I knew there's tons of hunting pages out there where anyone can go get more information, be a better hunter. I'm not that guy. The Lord laid it on my heart to sort of encourage guys that know Jesus as their Lord and Savior, encourage them to strengthen their walk with the Lord, but also more importantly to share His gospel with those that don't know the Lord. I'm from Tennessee. I live in Georgia now, but living in the Bible Belt, everyone knows Jesus. Everyone's papa been a pastor, daddy been a pastor, and it don't matter who in your family is. Someone else's relationship with Jesus can't be your own. But we can fall in the Bible Belt in a serious trap of just going to church thinking we're saved, and so trying to have people open the word up and have a relationship themselves with the Lord. That's sort of the vision with Know 'em Outdoors. And one of the series, as you will, I guess, is this hunter story. And that's bringing on other men of faith where it's not always me talking because I don't like talking that much. So I'd rather have guys like you come on and do the talking, just to share their story of some hunting memories and moments, but also the most important thing is to share their testimony with how the Lord saved them, met them where they're at. And I tell all the guys before we get rolling into all the questions, just share what the Lord's laid on your heart. I know some guys can be, guys listening to this might be discouraged to talk about their faith or even their testimony. And man, that really helped me knowing is no testimony is going to be the same how it starts, right? But it's always going to end in faith in Christ. And so some people have a crazy radical story and some people don't. And it just is what it is. Well, I say that every story being brought out of Satan's family, the God's family, is a radical story. So
Mm.
I do want to change my wording on that. But if you don't mind, I want to roll into the questions.
Okay.
Try to keep it respectful for your time for the guys that come on here and not hold you up too much. I know you got a family. So, but out of all of your hunting stories that you can think of or fishing or whatever, what is the most or the memory that that you think of the most?
Okay. Yeah, as we talked about earlier, growing up early on, hunting with my grandpa,
Mm,
those probably meant the most to me. Looking back at it since he's gone now. But since coming out of addiction and getting back into hunting, probably this past December, I was down bordered up against WMA in Georgia down here on some private land, and they the landowner told me it was the last day of the hunt we were on. He said, "Man, I want us to get something. We hadn't really seen anything." He said, "Shoot whatever walks out. I
mm,
want some meat." So I'm sitting there, and this 8 pointer walks out. He wasn't big. He was pretty small,
mm.
but I got excited. He wanted meat, so that was probably my best at the time. Well, still because I haven't got another kill on camera, but that was my best one.
Mm.
So I shot him. He ran off. Uh, I got down and waited till dark and walked back in there. And they had told me there was pigs there, hogs.
Yeah.
I'd never seen any up here where we're at or where I'm at. There's not any. So as I'm walking back up, I was going to go check the arrow. I was waiting on my friends to get out of the woods, and I heard something under the feeder over there making some noise. So I hit it with my flashlight, and there was about 10 pigs standing under the feeder this evening.
Mm.
Um, there were some persimmon trees right here in front of me, so they didn't pay any attention to the flashlight or me or anything. So I just wedged that flashlight in the fork of a persimmon tree, and I arranged it, and I was about 30 yards away, and I just picked the biggest one and just drilled it, man, and it ran off and died. Uh, and I wish that I would have thought to set my camera, my phone
Yeah.
down and recorded it, but I didn't. It's crazy, but
Yeah,
you live and learn.
we don't have I mean I'm sure we do in like middle Tennessee, but where I was from, I'm from the mountains of Tennessee and we just didn't really have hogs. And so that's something that I've never seen in the woods and never killed in the woods. And so being in Georgia, definitely I got a lot of buddies that go down south. And that's all they talk about is the hogs and man, they wear them out. And I think I'm one of the only hunters in Georgia that's probably never killed a hog or at least seen one. So hopefully, maybe one day I'll see one. But we don't have any up here at the house on the property or nothing. But
No,
that's that's pretty wild. I couldn't imagine. I feel like I would be walking. Did it startle you? Like walking
well,
up on
I
them?
was I was creeping anyway, but you never feel comfortable hearing something in the woods, and I recovered outdoors. I am a convicted felon, and I don't get to carry a firearm, so
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, but
Mm. So how does that? That's a whole nother topic for another day. We ain't got to go deep into it. How, is there anything that you carry? I know you can't carry a firearm, so is there anything you carry like a big knife? Like I guess would be your defense out in the woods? Because I know I'm always strapped because there's things that crazy out there.
Yeah, I mean, I carry a knife, but if I got to, I just fight it off with my bow, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
No, in January I did get to go, and like you said, it's a whole nother story. I could probably share some of my testimony in a little bit, but I got to go before the board of pardon and paroles,
mm,
um, to try to get a pardon, and
yeah,
the board voted unanimously in favor and
nice.
sent it to the governor. So I'm waiting to hear back on that, which I believe God's going to do it.
Praise the Lord. Yeah, well, I'll be praying for that for sure, and I encourage everybody
Thank
else
you.
listening to be praying for that. I had a guy that was a crucial part of my testimony. His name was Kevin. Um, that he was locked up in the pen for some drug things and everything. And it was years later, once he was released, I was working with him. Like I said, he was a huge part of me coming to faith in Christ. And he got, I guess, the same, like, sponged off his, like, where he could finally vote. And it'd been years since he had ever been able to vote or anything. And so, man, I pray that happens to you. That'd be awesome. And so, man, I'm so that's cool that there's stories that it's like sometimes I may be sour, but sometimes I just don't think the government ever does anything good. And whenever you hear something like that, it's pretty cool. But shoot, yeah. Well, one thing I love about the outdoors, being in hunting, is hunters were really close to God's creation. All right, Romans 1 talks about the evidence of his creation as evidence of him. We see God's glory always in the creation through sunrises, sunsets, animals, just everything coming to life. I know that's one of the coolest moments for me in a tree stand. And so, have you ever had a moment when you're hunting or anywhere in the outdoors to where you pretty much just chalked it up to, man, that was the Lord, whether it was a situation or some type of sunset or anything, but you just chalk it up to the Lord showing off.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this ever since you sent me the question,
Yeah.
and reflecting on it. The only thing, I say the only thing, but it's everything, because the fact, I sit there sometimes, and the fact that me, an ex drug addict, an ex drug dealer,
Mm,
the fact that I am sitting out there in the woods, clean, saved,
mm,
and living a life that I would have never imagined. Like, out of everybody, I can't. Jesus brought me out of that and
mm,
has given me, changed the desires of my heart, and has given me a new life. And man, like, I would have never have guessed that this would have been possible
yeah.
because of how far down I was, um, how I was considered a lost cause, if you will.
Mm, yeah.
Statistically, yeah, however you say that word, speaking, I shouldn't be here today,
Yeah.
but Jesus, he has other plans, and he did it,
Yeah.
and so just the fact that I'm able to do what I love, and living in the country that I live in, being able to do the things that we enjoy, and that's all God, because I I, I deserve to be in jail, or should be dead
Yeah.
from the things that I've done.
It's funny how the Lord will sometimes in the wilderness, of just silence can bring us to our like deepest moments of praise or even prayer requests, but just reflection on, like you said, you look back on your life when you're a tree stand of, like, you're here now getting to enjoy these things instead of the polar opposite that it was, I think that is such a great testimony just to how amazing our God truly is, that he don't leave us where we're at, and that you're better here. And that not only that you see that he's changed you and you sort of like, oh, thanks, Lord, and push him to the side, but you're giving him the glory, you know, every moment you can. And man, I know he's gonna continue blessing that. And so you almost started rolling into it. And this is one of the greatest questions here, the things I look forward to the most. And once again, these guys, when I have you come on here, share what's on your heart. You know, um, I know a lot of the guys that listen to this, they may have never made the Lord Jesus the Lord of their life. So, man, I'm thrilled to hear it. But Clark, can you tell us what is the Clark Shepherd testimony?
Absolutely, man. Uh, growing up, I had a pretty good childhood. My parents took care of me. Going through middle school and high school, the urge to fit in
Mm,
and be accepted and be cool is what really got me.
yeah,
Um, I'd started my first job, one of my maybe my second job. It was my second job, still in high school at McDonald's, and there in the dumpster area is the first time where and I'm jumping right into this. This is where I smoked crack for the first time.
mm,
Still in high school. It didn't take long before halfway through my 12th grade year, I dropped out of high school. I wasn't
yeah,
going to, I wasn't going to fail. I was going to pass, not with A's and B's, but I had passing grades
yeah,
barely. But I had these new friends, and I just didn't want to go back, so I dropped out. We kept that going for a little while until none of us even wanted to go to work, and then luckily that habit ran out when the money did when we quit going to work.
mm,
Um, Fast forward a few years, just smoking weed and drinking and partying, just no responsibilities. I was living in a trailer park, and I noticed that a couple trailers up, it was either those people went to sleep way after I did and got up way before I did, or they just skipped it all together. And I found myself up there, saying the famous line, "I'm only going to try this once."
mm,
And you know, they reassured me, "We'll only let you try this once." And why
mm,
wouldn't I trust the trailer park meth heads? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I could say that because I became one of them. And then it was just my world changed at that time. Um, you know, I had started having all the friends. I started being accepted like I thought I wanted to be. I had money then. Well, not at the beginning. Let me back up on that. At the beginning, I didn't have money, and so I started stealing from my parents,
mm,
stealing from anybody that would leave me alone.
yeah,
Um, and then I learned how to sell meth, uh, and that's when I started getting some money, and
yeah,
that's when I started having more friends I was living the life. If you'd asked me, that was the scary part about my addiction is, I, that was the best I'd had it.
yeah,
You hear a lot of people in addiction say I had it all and lost it because of drugs. The scary part about my situation is I felt like I didn't have anything because
mm,
I had the desire to fit in with people. And then when I did this, I gained everything that I thought I wanted.
mm,
Um, I started manufacturing. That's what got me my first charges. Uh, I went to jail the first time for manufacturing methamphetamines, possession of a firearm, possession of drug paraphernalia. Um, a few court dates in on that, and I missed a court date and then went on the run. And this is all span over a year and a half or 2 years. I met the lady that is now my wife. We were horrible for each other.
mm,
Uh, I remember, I think it was 2013 on Christmas morning is the first time I injected meth.
mm,
Uh, Once that happened, I couldn't sell it to make a profit. I went straight back to ripping everybody off. Uh, it was bad. Uh, my mom, I'd go to her house. We'd live with her. She'd have a deadbolt on her bedroom door, so because she
mm,
knew that I would steal whatever to get high. Um, Fast forward a little bit farther, 2024. No, I'm sorry, 2014. Um, we went to jail for the last time. I'd made fake IDs. I learned how to make fake IDs, and we were doing payday loans in other people's names. And I got caught. And well, my girlfriend at the time, got caught, and I was asleep in the car. And we went to jail, Hamilton County. I had to spend agonizing 8 months in jail. It
Hamilton
was
County, Tennessee.
Hamilton County, Tennessee.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm right inside of Georgia. I went to jail in Lookout Valley over here.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I was downtown there. I weighed 130 pounds. All my teeth were shot. I'd had a four-wheeler wreck back in high school that broke all my top teeth in half,
Mm.
and then the meth on top of that didn't help. That's another story in itself. I should have died then. I had blood clots on my
Mm.
brain and air bubble on my brain, and I should have said, you know what, Jesus is the reason I'm alive now, and that would have been the end of all that bad stuff. But it wasn't the case. I didn't. I got out and got right back to getting high.
Yeah.
You know. But no, we went to jail for theft of identity, criminal simulation, stolen vehicle. Um, so that was the best thing for me. My wife Stephanie, she'd always ask me, "Why can't we just quit this and go to church or something?" And I'm like, "I don't have time to go to church. I
Yeah.
don't have time for God." Well, there goes God's sense of humor again. He's like, "Well, now you have time because you
Mm.
know I'd went to jail in between those probably 5 or 6 times in between those, for smaller stuff, and I'd always got bonded out. My dad
Mm.
did what he thought was best, but really it was enabling me.
Mm.
But his intentions were good,
Yeah.
but I took advantage of it. But this time my bond was $250,000, and he couldn't get me on it. I went to a Bible study in there because some guys were talking to me about Jesus, and I had tried to get clean here and there, but it didn't work. I wanted to
Yeah.
do what I wanted to do, and I started hearing about this man named Jesus, and I'd heard about him growing up, but I'm like, I wonder if he can help me. And
Yeah.
really, if I'm honest, I just wanted help for that situation.
Mm.
That's what I wanted help with, if I'm being honest with you. But uh, he helped me, and it was more than just that situation. 2 Bible studies in, I'm sitting there saying, "Hey, Jesus, if you'll go ahead and let me out, I'm a changed man, and I will live for you."
Mm.
And when I share my testimony, I talk about Peter when Jesus wants to wash the disciples' feet,
Mm.
and Peter tells him, "No, you don't, you're not going to wash my feet." And Jesus says, "Well, if you don't let me, then you'll have no part with me." Peter didn't understand at that time that it had to happen that way. Just like I didn't understand that I had to sit in jail for X amount of time because it was God's plan for my life, because it
Yeah.
has to happen that way. Uh, Peter caught on a little quicker than I did. You know what I mean? Because he turns right around and says, "Well, if that's the case, not only my feet, but my hands and my head too." You know what I mean?
Mm.
I didn't catch on as quick, but Jesus, he was patient. I ended up, getting saved in there. I ended up getting my GED while I was there,
Nice.
and I got a clean date of, May 9th, 2014. I just celebrated 11 years clean. My wife and I both. Uh, you know, in there, the inmates would just say, I tell them I'd get out and live a godly life and live for God, and they said, "Well, you're a convicted felon, and you'll always end up right back in here. You're going to be labeled as just a junkie for the rest of your life."
Yeah.
My mom would come see me, and I'd tell her I was going to get out and do good. She'd say, "Yeah, I hope so," and
Mm.
that would make me mad
Yeah.
because, like, you're my mom, you're supposed to. But what have I ever given her for her to believe me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing. It's all been lies.
Mm.
Um, but in Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." And I'm so thankful that my future wasn't dependent on what those other people thought about me or what my family
Yeah.
expected out of me or the title of being a convicted felon or a junkie, which I'm no longer a junkie, but I am still currently a convicted felon. But, my future is not dependent on those things. My future was based off of the promises that Jesus has given me.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I could, and Jesus has definitely blessed me. My wife and I got saved together. Got saved. We got married. We got baptized together at the first church we were going to. Great people who accepted us. Just I was up front with them, and they accepted us, and they set a foundation as to what a good church looks like and what a
Mm.
good pastor looks like. A
Amen.
godly pastor. He ended up having to move back to Arkansas for other reasons, and we started attending a church called Trenton Ministry Center, where we get to share through Celebrate Recovery. We get to share with other men and women about coming out of addiction. We get to work. I get the privilege and the honor to serve on a board of a program called a Hand Up Ministries, where
Mm,
it's a year-long program where we get men and women out of jail. It's Christ-centered recovery. Uh, you know, 2019, I got to adopt my daughter, my
nice.
wife, from a previous relationship. I was able to adopt her. We own our own home now. You know, and through all of those things, you know, I feel like sometimes when we give our testimonies, we leave out some important details.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not only if I sit here and I tell you all the mountaintop stories, I am blessed. I am
Mm,
a blessed man that has a good life. But there are days, where I feel it's important that I tell people there are days that I have a hard time getting up and going to work.
yeah.
I have, I feel like I'm a bad dad. I feel like I'm a bad spouse. I feel like I'm a bad friend.
Mm,
There's days where it would almost seem easier just to give up and do something else.
yeah.
Like,
Well, we have this
and I
flesh.
feel like when we share, yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's one of my scriptures here. Well, somewhere. It says in Isaiah 54:17, it says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." It doesn't say that there's not going to be any weapons.
Hmm.
It tells you right there that we're going to have these things come against us. And, I feel like if I share my testimony and somebody there that hears it is still struggling and they're like, let's see, this guy's got, Jesus has just blessed him and blessed him. Why am I feeling this way? And the enemy's he's going to capitalize on that and say, you're not doing something right. Or
Yeah.
see, it can never happen for you. You're too far gone. You know, and it's just not the case. The weapons formed against us will not prosper. There are weapons that hit me every day.
Hmm.
Jesus says, in this world you will have tribulation, but be of good
Yep.
cheer because I have overcome the world.
Yep.
You know, through all the blessings, life is still hard,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
but we are blessed. Uh,
Yeah. I was trying to see. It's funny you was talking about Jeremiah right here just the other day in Jeremiah 17. Now I'm reading through Jeremiah right now. I've been reading, through the Bible. I do it 52 weeks reading plan just to read through the Bible in a year. And currently we're in Jeremiah, and Jeremiah 17:7 through 8 says, "Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh. But here her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit." And right there we see examples of there will be heat, there will be drought, there will be times where, you think, oh man, this sucks. I'm not doing anything. But at the end, it says it won't cease from yielding fruit. You're in reward. And man, we all, we have this flesh that we battle. And Satan's really good at once you give your life to the Lord, and now you have been adopted into his kingdom as a child of God. He's lost you, right? He's now lost you from his grip. So now the next best thing he can do is just to keep you down, keep you on the sideline, right? Don't want you getting out there on the field to get other people bringing over, and you're doing this, just this recovered thing. You're doing this, bringing up people that's sort of giving them a leg up out of jail or whatever else that you're doing. You're involved in a community where you don't know if these people are, some of them, we're just assuming some are lost, some may know the Lord, they just need encouragement. But man, you're doing a work that has eternal rewards. And so, Jesus does say that the world will persecute us just like it persecuted him, that there's going to be times of trouble, there's going to be trials. And then you even look at Job. He wasn't even doing anything wrong, you know, but he lost a lot. Now, in the end, the Lord blessed him sevenfold, right? I mean, it was,
no, yeah.
at the end of it. But we see a lot of times, I know myself, I don't want to say myself, I can get hung up on keeping with the Joneses mentality, like, man, golly, I could do this or do that, or I want this. And we, I got to keep myself grounded on looking at the eternal rewards that we get, those precious stones, because everything else will burn up as wood, hay, and stubble, like Revelation talks. Um, but man, that's awesome. I didn't know he was involved in so many different ministries, and that that truly like touches my heart because um, I don't know if but my little brother passed away in May, and I always there we go. There's some 10-minute mark. Let me get that fixed. Um, my struggle growing up was alcohol. I was a bad alcoholic. We didn't really grow up in church or anything. But his struggle was drugs. Out of high school, he got latched on. It started with marijuana and just kept on going to fentanyl was the thing that got him. And you know, he did know the Lord. We're very certain of that, but his walk was just very, very shallow, as you will. And so we're thankful that there's no work that we can do to earn heaven. I'm also thankful to know that there's no work that we can do to be removed from his hand also. But his addiction he wasn't able to beat. So anytime I hear it's been something on my heart, just trying to talk to men about alcohol and even drug addictions and stuff like that. But coming from someone like me that didn't really struggle with that, it don't really hold as much weight as you that's been in the fire with him on that. And so I just think about, man, I wish my brother would have had someone, maybe like you instead of me, to be able to share on him. And golly, I'm gonna try not to get teared up, but I know it's awesome seeing that you're being faithful, what the Lord's called on you to do, man. So thank you for doing that.
Hey, thank you for sharing that with me, man.
Yeah,
It's not easy to talk about some of these things.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Um, but going back, so you and your wife, y'all both called on the Lord, I guess, like in jail or in a you were in jail when y'all did it?
Yeah. I was in my cell. It wasn't nothing spectacular. I didn't, I didn't feel a weight lifted off of me. I just said, Jesus, something's got to
Mm,
change. Uh, and I tried it on my own.
yeah,
So just do something. And, he's still working. But it's just little things. It never, it wasn't all at once. It was little things like, all right, we got this straightened out. What about this? We
hmm,
got this straightened out. What about this?
yeah,
Just little things. And he'll be working on me until I go home to be with him.
absolutely.
Um, now, and the enemy beats me up about this, especially doing with trying to do recovered outdoors and everything. Uh, he beats me up with, what about those people that see you when you aren't being very godly?
Mm,
There's times where especially like if I'm at work, everything that comes out of my mouth is not edifying and uplifting.
yeah,
I still struggle with anger. I still struggle with speaking before I think.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I still struggle with those, and uh, in Titus 3, and I'll paraphrase, Titus 3, 4 through 5 tells us that God blesses us not because we are good, but because He is good.
Mm,
And that's where I'm finding hope in that right now, because the enemy is definitely beating me up with it. And I'll be open and honest with everybody. I'm not a
yeah,
perfect man, and I won't be until I go home to be with Jesus. I
yeah,
still have my struggles. My struggles
absolutely.
aren't the same as what they were 10 years ago, but
Hmm,
there are struggles, just like we talked about earlier. There will be troubles in this world.
yeah.
Uh,
Just try to be better tomorrow than I was, today, or be better today than I was yesterday. Because I mean, we're being conformed to
yeah,
his image, and it won't be until we are called home where we have that glorified body, where we don't have to wrestle with the flesh anymore.
yeah,
That's, I think so many people, the saying, you are what you eat, right? And same thing with spiritual and flesh. If you just feed that flesh constantly, and and in this world, brother, that is very easy to do. Music, TV shows, little small things, but as you feed that flesh, man, I call, we can live carnal, right? We can be a carnal Christian walking around instead of a spiritual one. But none of us are perfect. I know I got my struggles. I've actually early on in my walk with the Lord, man, there's people that I could probably never reach now because I've being a confessing, and I was saved, but I was still hanging on to that flesh as much as I could, talking a certain way and doing things in anger. And I grew up pretty tough. My mom and dad was split, so laziness was always just sort of a thing that I despised. And as a manager, uh, let's just say I could slam the hammer down on some guys that might have messed up. And there's some guys that no matter how much I apologize and ask for forgiveness on, my testimony is probably ruined. And so all because I was living more on my flesh side than what I should have been doing. And so, but all we can do is, repent of that and move on and just try to be better than we were yesterday. But what all were those ministries you said you were doing?
So, a hand up ministry is the
And
main thing that I'm a part of. My wife serves on the board and as a volunteer for a women's program in Lafayette, Georgia called Restore 634.
okay.
Under Hand Up, we have a story of hope in Walker County that we're a part of. On Tuesday nights, we get to go to Walker County Jail and to teach Celebrate Recovery there.
Nice.
A part of Hand Up in Dalton, a place called Hope. We just taken them under a Hand Up ministry. It's another men's program, cross center program. Same thing as what we got going on in Dade County up here. Dade County is where a Hand Up ministry is.
Okay.
The women part of this one up here is the Hope House, and it's right beside Dade County High School, and they have a cafe where they do chicken salad, and the girls get to work there. And it was a condemned nursing home, and all the churches around there pitched in and adopted a room, and it's probably the nicest place some of them women have ever lived.
Nice. Yeah.
And where people used to go to die, now they go there to get their life. You know what I mean? Like they go there to live. And that's amazing in itself. We have a good group of people that we get the honor to be just a small part of. And
That's
Jesus
awesome.
is definitely changing lives.
Absolutely. I definitely I was wanting to bring that up where you could mention them again, where people listen to this, maybe if it's on their heart to go, help support those ministries and stuff like that. So I know I'm going to look into them. And
Absolutely.
man, if there's ever something I could do, I'm not too far from you. I'd love to help you out in any way on that. We live in Adairsville, so we're not too far. I'm up in Chattanooga all the time.
Yeah.
Going to be there this weekend for the velvet hunt. I'm ready for that one.
I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
long as the weather keeps on coming down a little bit. I don't want it to be 100 degrees again. Last year was rough.
Yeah.
But well, shoot, yeah, man.
I'm
We'll
gonna
do.
try. I've got a little spot. I'm gonna try.
You don't hunt the velvet hunt?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get out there. I've got a little spot up in Meigs County that I have access to hunt.
Nice.
I'm gonna try it out.
Well, good deal.
I don't have anything on camera there, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, you never know, man. I told the
Yeah.
guys I've been waiting for 3 years. I've been letting some smaller bucks go because I wanted a velvet buck, a decent one. So I wanted to mount my first velvet buck, and I told him, I said, man, I said I'm itching for a velvet buck. I said if it's got fuzz on it, I said Forky's probably going down this year. I ain't waiting no more.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but well, Clark, man, dude, I appreciate you coming on here, man. Like I said, I want to be respectful for your time. Your testimony was a blessing to me. And I know it is to others. And so keep doing what you're doing, man. I know the Lord's going to bless the obedience. And holler at me outside of this if anything I can do to help on those other things. Honestly, it's sort of the Lord's been working on my heart recently with my brother and stuff. And so I want to do what we can to try to support any of that.
So come up on a Thursday night, celebrate
Okay.
recovery.
Yeah.
Renton Ministry Center. I can give you all the information, but yeah. Celebrate recovery, man. That's the heart of where it all started.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a text when we hop off here and we'll exchange some information. I'll definitely make that happen. So,
Okay.
Well, brother, you have a great night. Tell your wife I appreciate her let me have you for about an hour. And
All right, man.
we'll see you next time, buddy.
Thanks, sir.
See you, boss.